Alright, so welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial, we're trying to explore a very new and a very nice and exciting new feature of Streamlit called Streamlit Component. So we're trying to see how to use Streamlit Component to do something very simple. Then in the future, we will try and go into details. So let's see what we'll be building today. So we're building a simple EDA app with Streamlit Component. So we'll be exploring some of the new features. So this is something very nice that you can now do with Streamlit. You can actually add this simple stuff here. Right, it is running in a very simple way using the Streamlit component, the new stuff. Right, you can actually add some more designs to it, which is very, very cool. Right, that is a very, very exciting thing that they have done. So if I go back to the sidebar here, I can just go back to the home. Then I can just go to Pandas Profile. Right, so this is a simple EDA app. Then I can actually add different data. So I can upload the data sets. So I've already uploaded the data sets. Then it's going to automatically analyze it and generate a profile report, which is for simple automated EDA, right, using Pandas Profile. It's going to take some time for it to generate behind the scene. Perfect. So that's finished generating our data, right, our profile report using Pandas Profile. So now we are combining Pandas Profile with Streamlit due to the power of Streamlit component. So let's check it out. So now I can actually see the data that I saw out. You can see the general overview, the reproductions, and then the warnings, right? Very interesting. All of this thing is coming from Pandas Profile, which is being glued by Streamlit component or Streamlit component. Very interesting. So I can see all the various Pandas Profile stuff. I can toggle the details and I can check some interesting stuff. So this is very, very cool. Very, very exciting, right? So all of these things are out of the box, right, due to Streamlit component. So that is very nice. That is very, very cool, right? So that is one of the nicest features now. So let's go back to the other side of the app. If I go to the Pandas Profile menu, I can also change it from Pandas Profile to Sweetviz, right? So there's a whole tutorial on Sweetviz, which will be coming later. If I go with Sweetviz, the Sweet visualization, I can actually upload the data set. So let's upload the data set. So I'll browse my files, and then I'll upload some data set and use it to do whatever I want to do, right? So perfect. So let's use something simple. So let's use this one, right? Same thing. Then I open this particular data set. Then it's going to analyze it perfectly for us. Then after that, I can just go generate this. Then to finish generating report, it's going to generate report behind the scene. Then it's going to load it perfectly for us. Very, very cool and very exciting. So this is something simple that we built ourselves, right? We built it with the new features of Streamlit component. Very nice and very cool, right? So you see that you are now actually using an external package, which is Sweetviz, and another external package, which is Pandas Profile in Streamlit, right? Very, very nice, very cool, right? That is something very cool, right? So everything is working as expected. Very exciting, right? So all of this visualization has been given to us perfectly. And that's not the only thing we can also come back here, and then you can just go back to the about. Then you can see the simple HTML stuff. So people that want to add more designs to the app, to change the colors, like at least you can be able to use this one to do something very simple, right? So this is something simple using HTML, and I can actually click on these things. That's going to redirect me to GitHub, right? Very interesting, right? That is something cool that we can do. So let's check it out. I click on it. Then it's going to open for us for GitHub. That is something very cool. So we're trying to see how to build this simple app from scratch. That's reloaded to my GitHub profile. So we can actually use to add footers and then headers, right? Very, very nice. So let's see how to build this thing from scratch. So the most important thing that we need is to understand the simple concept behind Streamlit component. So let's see it out. So for the Streamlit component, this is how it is. Right, so this is the Streamlit component type. So there are two main component types. You have the static component and you have the bi-directional component. So for the static component, we can do some basic stuff. So these are the things we can do with the static component. So with the static component, it gives us two main functions. We have the component.html, right, and then the component.iframe. So the component.html allows us to be able to work with any form of CSS, HTML, and even JavaScript, which is very, very cool, very, very nice. This is to help us render static structures or static components, right, as the name goes. Then you also have component.iframe that allows you to be able to embed or takes an input of a URL. So maybe you can embed a particular page from somewhere into your app, which is very cool and very nice. That is the first type of Streamlit component, right? Very, very interesting. So like st.markdown is a format of static component, but that is inbuilt, that is native. But to get the external one that you yourself can design, you yourself can work with, which is very cool, which is like a plugin system. You can use the static component, right? So component.html and then component.iframe. Then let's check the other one, which is going to be the declare component, which is a bi-directional component. So bi-directional means that it can go up and down, so it can accept both Python and then JavaScript, and then JavaScript and Python, right? So both ways. So it is bi-directional. So you can work with React, you can work with Vue, you can work with vanilla JavaScript, and then it's going to interact with Python and then Python with JavaScript. Very, very cool and very nice. So this is something that you can actually create your own. So the Pandas profile that we are working with is a very simple package that have been built by the people in the team, which is using Pandas profile, right, which is purely mostly HTML, and then it is interacting with Streamlit, right, behind the scene using the static component. Very, very cool. So that is the basic component that you'll be working with. So these are the two main types. We have the static component, which has two main functions. We have component.html that allows us to be able to work with CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. Very, very nice and very cool, which is like a more upgraded form of the Markdown, right? Very, very cool. A lot of things. You can even work with JavaScript. There are some cool things you can do. That is so nice. Wow, they have done so much well. Then we have component.iframe, which can also receive an input of a URL to save it in a secure way. That is for the static component. Then we also have the bi-directional component, which allows us to be able to create your own custom component. You can use the two of them, static component or bi-directional, but bi-directional, as the name goes by, allows you to be able to both receive and then render, right? So you can receive from Python and then render in JavaScript or JavaScript Python. So you can either use React or Vue. So let's see how to build our own and work with these ones for today, right? Then in the future we will work on the rest. So let's start from scratch. So I'm just going to set up my place. So we'll go back here, and then this is where we'll be working, right? So this is something very simple. So let's create a simple stuff. So let's go to a component app, right? Something like that. Then I'll move into my component app. It's something simple that we are building, which is an EDA component app. So let's change the name. So CD, let's call it as mkdir EDA component app, right? Something like that. So I'll move into my EDA component app. There's nothing. I'm going to create my first file, app.py. Then we will have to work on it. So to be able to get this feature of the Streamlit component, you need to upgrade to 0.6, right? 0.63 and upwards, right? So that is the version that we are working on now. So you can just go with pip install. Then you can upgrade, right? You can upgrade it. Then Streamlit, right? That is how to upgrade to the newest version. So let's check it out. So Streamlit version, we are checking for the current version now. So we are working on a newest version. So from version 0.63 and upwards, you can create your own custom component, which is like a plugin system, like a component system that allows you to be able to do some cool stuff. Very, very cool. Very, very nice. Wow. Let's clap for that, right? Okay. So you're going to check for the version for us. Right, so this is the version that you need to help you with the component. Now let's open our app. So I'll use Sublime dot. Then I'm going to open our app.py. Then we start building something very simple. So I'll position this one beside it. This is the old one, right? Which gives us the option of working with a simple HTML, and then also to work with our simple two activities, Pandas Profiling and Sweetviz, right? So let's close this one off, and then let's start from scratch. I'll just close this one off, then we start from scratch. So let's see how to work with it. Right, so first of all, we're just going to be loading our core package. So let's make it like this. Yeah, it's going to be our core packages. So be important. Don't know whether I can see it well. Yeah, import streamlit as st. Right, that's going to be our core packages, right? For now, that's what we'll be using for our app. Then I'm just going to do the same thing as we have been doing. Create my main. Then inside our main, we just give a simple description of what the app will do. Just a simple EDA app with Streamlit component, right? Streamlit component. Perfect. Then this app will just close with it if main. That is all. So let's create our simple menu. So this menu is going to be with this option. We have our home, as we always do, we have our Pandas profile, right? Very good work that Cash has done, right? And then we also have NNT Concrete has done, and then we also have for the Sweetviz. It's a very nice package too. Then we go with our about. Right? So these are our main menu, right? Then let's go with our choice. Going to be our choice. I don't know whether the audio is okay. So the choice, then from the choice I'm just going to go with st.sidebar.select box. Now pass in my menu, this list of menu. So this is going to be menu, right? Perfect. That is all that we need. So if my choice is equal to pandas profile, right? Then do whatever you want to use, st.subheader, just to give us, so this automated or EDA with pandas profile, right? I'll call it automated because it's simple. That is the basic idea. Then also do another one for else if my choice is equal to Sweetviz. Yeah, using dot subheader. We are using also automated EDA with Sweetviz. That is all. These are the two main packages we are using. Then I'm just going to go with else if choice is equal to about st.subheader. This is going to be our about app, right? Then finally we just go close with an else. So else, which is going to be for the home. So st.subheader home. So let's see what we'll be doing, right? So we're building something very simple. As we learned earlier on, we have this option of working with either the static component or the bi-directional component. So in this case, we're working with our first option of how to work with the simple static component. So I'll just come back here, right? Then I'm just going to go with my other packages that I need. So I'll go with my EDA packages. So I'll be using pandas, so import pandas as PD. That's the only package we'll be using. And then also be importing codec. So codecs will be helping us to load our file, right? So we'll be doing that later. So these are the main package that we'll be using. Then for our components packages, it's very simple. So from the version 0.63 and upwards, you can just go straight away with import streamlit, right, .component .version 1. So this is it's a very nice way they have named it, right? The reason they have named it in this way is that so that in the future, if new features have been added, we can still, it will not break your app, right? Which is very, very cool. So that is version 1. Very nice naming, like API naming. Then v1 as component, right? You can make it as STC for short, right? So that at least you have ST and then STC. But let's go with component for now. Later on in the future, we just change it as we wish. So that is a basic idea. So these are the main stuff you'll be doing, right? So let's see this one here. So this is where all the various features will be inside. So let's check what this has to offer us. So I just come back to here. Then let's go with Python 3.7, import streamlit.component .v1 as STC, and then I'm going to check what STC has to offer. That is our component has to offer us. Right, so if I go with our STC for Streamlit component, so we see that we have our declare component, as we said earlier on, which is to help us to build both bi-directional component. We have Components.html, which is to help us to be able to render HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then we also have HTML.iframe, which is to help us also to be able to take in an input as a URL and then render it within our app. Very cool and very nice. So let's go out of this place and then let's launch our app. So we have nothing here. So to launch is going to be streamlit run my app.py. I'm going to run it and then open it on a default port. So to recap, Streamlit Components allows us to be able to do some cool stuff. So it gives us the option of being able to create our own static component using the Component.html and then Components.iframe. Then to create your own bi-directional components using Component.declare component, which allows you to be able to interact bi-directionally with Streamlit and Python, right? Python and then JavaScript or React in code. So let's check it out. So this open with this. So let's change it from here. This is right. So I'll just paste it here. Then you load our app perfectly. So it's going to load it perfectly for us. So let's take this one off here. Right, that is me. Okay, so now our app is simple, right? So we have our home, we have our main features, we have our home, we have Pandas Profile, Sweetviz, and About, right? So let's see the first thing about what we can do with the component. So I'll just come back to our home here, right? Then to work with the components is very simple. Just go with component, right? Remember that we import streamlit.component.v1 as component. Then I can just go straight away with .html, right? So with this HTML, just like the markdown, I can actually put in any HTML stuff, whether it's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and it's still going to work. So I can just do something like this. Let's do it something like this: p style. Then this one can go something like this, right? So let's call it as, let's say, color, right? Let's give it as the color of red. That's all. Right, then I can say that Streamlit component is awesome, right? It's so awesome. It's having a lot of possibilities and potential. So I'll just close it here. So if I save it now this one we don't need to say on save allowed it. It's going to just like in markdown. This is already saved. It's very secure. So let's check it out. See how I export components. So let's always run. And then voila, just rendered it perfectly for us. I spelled component wrong. Okay, apologies. So let's check it out. Components, right? So it's not only just this one. You can do a lot of things with it. You can actually embed the whole HTML stuff there, right? Which is very cool. So let's check it out. So that is how to work with it. So all you need is components, right? You import it first. Then you just go with the particular HTML that you want to supply, right? In this particular format, right? Something very cool. You can make it triple code. So let's check it out. Something we can put there. So in the previous one that we did, we also had something like an image, right? So in case you want to put in an image, you can actually do that. So let's copy that image and put it there. So I can actually put in a simple template there. So let's try that one out. So instead of something like this, I can also put in a simple template. So this is going to be my template, right? So it's something very simple. This is common simple HTML with all of these things. Then I can actually replace it here. So I can take off this, use the first method. So let's comment this one out for future. Then it's going to be component.html. Then I'll pass in my HTML template. So with this, you can even see it rendered perfectly well. So let's go back and check it out. Voila, right? Just like the markdown, right? Very cool. But this one you don't need to specify on save it, allow it, it's called to. No, you just allow it like that. Very nice. So I'm going to put in a slider within it. So we'll be seeing how to combine HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I'll go back and I'll check something simple from W3 Schools. So let's use something like this. So I'll just go back here, slider image HTML, right? So this is something simple. So I want to show you some of the cool things you can do with it. Very, very cool. So I just copy this one. This is a simple carousel, right? So this is something very simple that I can do. So I just come back to the same place, try yourself. So I'm adding a slideshow to it, right? So this is this. So let me open it. Take some time. Yeah, it's opening it perfectly for us. I'm going to copy it and then we're going to use it for our app, right? Within our app. Right, so this is simple HTML, right? Which gives you the option of doing this. You can click on it and all of these things. So I can actually copy this entire stuff, which I'll copy from the CSS, right? I'll copy from this entire style here. So copy that one all the way together with the HTML stuff. So these are all CSS, right? So the HTML can accept CSS, can accept HTML, and then can also accept JavaScript. So you see that we also have JavaScript down. So I'm copying everything, including the JavaScript, then you paste it in a very nice format, and then you're going to see that this same feature that is here is going to be there. So let's copy this one. I'll come back here. So I'll just come back. Let me expand this one so that I can see it very well. Right, so this is something very simple. Right, I can actually come back again and then do something like Components.html. Then I'll just go with this option. Right, so this is 3, and I can actually paste in the entire stuff I copied, everything. So if I paste it, then now this is having JavaScript part, right? This is JavaScript. This is having HTML, and this having the CSS, right? So both of the 3 that we learned earlier on, these 3 can still, so HTML, CSS, JavaScript can be placed inside the HTML, components.html, and then you're going to start our app. It's going to work perfectly. It's going to render it well. So this thing that we are seeing, we can now see it inside our app. So let's save it and check it out. So I'll save it, and then let's go back to this place. Wow, so now you can see that our slider is there, right? You can see this there, but the image is not loading. The reason the image is not loading is that based on this, our image is a direct place, so it's here, right? So this is the image. So if I click on this image and I go with open image in tab, we are doing everything from scratch. So this is the direct link to the image, so I can copy this direct link. So the HTML itself is like an iframe, right, which is very, very powerful. So, and then I'll replace these ones here. I'll go back and I'll replace them. So wherever there's the images, so this is how it's going to be. I'm just going to edit it. It's taking some time, but at least it's going to help us. I'll copy this one here, take off this. Right, so I'll copy this one for this one, the same one for this one, and then for this one. Right, so let's paste it here. So if I save it, now is this a direct link to that place? So if I go back and I check it out, so wow, so that now we have been able to see how to actually put in a simple HTML, static HTML there, which is having JavaScript. So I can actually slide it like this instead of just changing, right? So I can actually do a lot of cool things with this. Wow, that is so cool. That is so nice, right? So you can actually insert an image there. So that is how to work with the first feature for the component, that is Components.html, right? So you have seen how to add a simple HTML. You have seen how to add even a complex HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as a slider, right, inside our app. Very, very cool. Okay, so now let's move on to our EDA aspect, right? So we'll just go back to this place, and then we'll try and work on our pandas profile. So I'll just come back here. There's nothing here. So first of all, we're going to be creating our stuff. So this is for the down. Let's check. Let's start from here, right? So this is for the pandas profile. So just create a simple upload button or download. So data file, right? So st.file upload, right? st.file uploader. Now pass in my test. So upload CSV, right? Telling the pen that to upload only CSV. I'm going to give the type that I'm accepting. I'm only accepting CSVs, right? Nothing else. Then I'm going to say that if my data file is not none, right, then I want you to read it. So how do we do that? So I can, from this place, I can actually read it with pandas profile, right? So let's go with df into pd.read underscore csv, and I'm passing my data file. Then can do it st.dataframe to actually see what you have done, and I'll pass in my df.head. So let's just preview the first one. So let's save it, come back to our pandas profile section, which is this place, right? So now our drop down is there, so I can actually paste in the data. So I just browse a file. So there's nothing there, so let's use something like this, data epilepsy or customer segmentation. Then it's going to analyze it and then give us our result here. Voila, so our first app is working perfectly as expected. So let's see some other stuff we can also do. So now we'll be working with pandas profile. So just as we're able to see how to work with simple component, right? You can also build your own component and then you can put it on PyPy for everybody to benefit. So some people have done some very cool work. One of them is pandas profile. So let's check it out. So to install it, you just go back to your system. Then let's go with this option. It's going to be pip install Streamlit Pandas Profile. Right, that is the name of it. It's supposed to be this option. This option, this is so most of the components will be starting with Streamlit, right? That is by convention. So this is how to install this particular package, which is a custom built Streamlit component, right? That someone has built. Very interesting guy, very smart guy, that we can use. So let's save it. I've already done it already, so I'll just come back here into my app. Then from here we will start working on it. So it's going to be this option. So I'm going to import it top above. So it's going to be for our component. It's going to be from Streamlit, or Streamlit Pandas Profiling, import st. So most of these things will go with st, right? To by convention, st profile report, right? So this is a custom component, right, that someone has done and it's on PyPy, which you can work on it. That is a first stuff. So this is going to help us render or bridge between Streamlit and then Pandas Profile. So let's import Pandas Profile itself. So it's going to be import Pandas Profile, or we can just go it from Pandas Profile. So from Pandas Profile link, import profile report. Right, so that is a basic idea. That's what we'll be trying to import. So import profile report. That is all. So let's check it out. So I'll just come back to the same place that we have. You've seen how to preview our data. Now from here we can actually analyze it. So in this case, it's going to be like this. So something very simple. It's going to be my profile. Then I'll pass in my profile report. I'll pass in my stuff. So df profile report. Perfect. Now to be able to render this profile report, which is usually generated in Jupyter Notebook, you can use the component option, right? So st profile report to render it. So it's going to be st profile report. Then I'll pass in my profile. That is all. So let's save it and see. So I'll save this one. Then I'll come back to this place, to my sidebar, to the app itself, right? So now, you can see from here that it's generating our profile report, right? Generating our profile report. Let's go down. It's going to analyze it and then generate our profile report. This is going to take time, so let's go back to this and change the data set, because it's going to take a lot of time. The data set is very huge, so let's pick something simple like this, right? Yeah, this is okay. So let's analyze it. So we are changing it. It's going to load that particular data set. Then it's going to give us the option of generating a profile report within Streamlit, right, using Pandas Profile. So it's taking some time, right, because Pandas Profile takes some time to analyze it. I think by now it has finished. Right, so I think that's finished now. So let's check it out. So let me take myself off and let's check it out. So if I come back here and I scroll down, you can see that now our profile report has been generated. Very cool, very exciting, right? So you see that we have it here, which is very nice. We have our reproduction, we have all of them there, right, in a very nice format, all the variables, and we can toggle them. So this is very simple, right? Very cool, very nice. So you have seen how to embed or use Pandas Profile within Streamlit or Streamlit using components, right? Very interesting. A very nice package called Streamlit Pandas Profiling. Very nice and very cool. So the basic idea is that you just need to be able to import the particular package that has been already built for you, then you just use it, right? Or you can use your own option. So let's build our own custom simple function to do the same thing, right? So we have seen how to work with the Pandas Profile section of the app. So let me expand it so I can see it very well. So this is it, right? So you can see that you can toggle the details. We can do some interesting stuff. So if I toggle the details, you can see that it's going to give us the details of the memory, all of these things, the region, the length, all of them out of the box. This is Streamlit, right? Very cool, right? Plus Pandas Profile. Wow, that is so nice. Now let's move on to the next option. So this is something very simple. So let's go to the next option. So I'll move to the next section, which is going to be for the Sweetviz, which is a very nice package. So I'll just go back to the sidebar here, then I'll choose Sweetviz, right? So the Sweetviz is also going to open in the same format, but using Sweetviz to actually generate an HTML that opens by default in your browser. So we're trying to see how to work with it. So I'll just come back here. There's nothing here, so I'll just come back to this we have done. Then you build the same thing that we did there, right? So this is empty. So this is empty. So let's see how to work with it. So I'll just put it by the sidebar, by the side rather, and then you start working on it. So I'll just come back here and do the same thing that we did above. You'll be uploading the file. So I'll just copy the stuff we did above. So I'll copy this thing. Let me just copy this. Right, the same thing up to here. Right. Copy this one. Come back here. So that goes the same code. Then I'll save it. If I save it, you're going to see that always run. So we have our upload button here, right? So we can actually upload some data. It's going to work perfectly for us. Perfect. So now let's see how to add Sweetviz to it. So to work with Sweetviz is very simple. So I'll just go back to the top of my file. Then this is going to be our custom. Let's go as custom component function. Right. So this is something very simple that you are building to see how to do that, right? Something very simple. So it's going to be from import Sweetviz as SV. So in case you don't have Sweetviz visualization, you can just go back and then work on it. So it's going to be like this option. Pip install Sweetviz, right? That is how to install Sweetviz on your system, right? That is the next package that you'll be using to help us with our EDA. So I've already installed it. So what you'll be seeing how to work with it is that we are going to create a simple function, right? So the function is going to be my def. Then let's go to st.display Sweetviz, right? That's a simple function we are creating. Then this function is going to take my report HTML, right? That is all. Then we can also specify a height that you want. So let's go to, let's see, our width. So let's give it a default width of 100 or 1000. Then a height, let's give it a default height of, let's say, 100, right? It can be any value, or let's make it 500. This is a simple function. Let me expand it so I can see it very well. Right, something very simple. This is a simple function you have created, and then we are going to open the file. So let's go to report file. We are using codec to help us with that. That's why we imported codecs. So codecs.open. Codecs allows us to be able to open HTML file. We can also use URL lib. Both of them are going to work. Right? So that is something very basic. Then I'm going to pass in my report HTML. Right, so that is all that we need, right? So this file, then I must open it as read. Perfect. Then I'm going to create a page variable. Then I'm going to read that report file dot read. Then I'll use the component. Realize we had component.html, right? I'll use the component.html to help us do that, right? So it's going to be my page. Then let's set the scrolling. Go to true, right? So something very basic. And then the HTML takes several arguments. One of the arguments it takes the width, so we call it width. Go to the width that the person supplies, then the height, going to be the height person supplies. That's very, very interesting. This idea I got from Adrian, right? Very simple, right? Something very nice, very cool. So that is all that we need. So we have created a simple function that is going to be using the component.html to be able to render a simple HTML file, right? So let's check it out. So I'll come back to the same place, to our app itself, which is here. Okay, right? This is the app, right? So let's go with a simple format. So this is a normal workflow, right? So the normal workflow for for Sweetviz is this. is that I'm just going to create a report. And the report is going to go with my sv.analyze. Now passing my data frame, right? It's going to generate the report, analyze, then generate the report. Then from here, I can actually view it, right? I can actually show it. So it's going to be report.show HTML, right? So that is how to work with it. So this simple stuff is going to analyze it and then show it for us and open it inside the default browser. So let's save it and try it and see. So come back here. So it's analyzing it. After it has finished analyzing, it's going to generate and open our default browser with the result, right? That is in case you are using Sweetviz. So there's a whole tutorial on it. You can check in the playlist below. Right, so it has finished. So if I go back to my browser, you can see that now it has given us our very, very nice visualization, right? Behind the scene, which is this, right? So I can click on it. Then you can see all the various analysis, right? It's a very nice package, right? So I want to use the same package within Streamlit, right? It's an external package. So automatically it's going to generate a file, an HTML file called sweetviz.report, which can be found here. So let's check it out. Right, so which can be found here. So this is a simple HTML. This is simple HTML. So for me to be able to render this one, I can just use the HTML component to help us with that, right? So that is what it's going to generate. So let's try that one out. So instead of it appearing here, I don't want it to appear here. I want it to appear within my app, right? So when the person upload the data, so that is what we're using. So I'll just come back to the same place that I have, right? And then I'll take off this. And no more using this. We are using our custom function. So let's create a simple button to make it easy for us. So this is it. Then I'll just go with if st.button, and I'll pass in generate. Let's say generate Sweetviz report, right? Something like that. If that is the case, then I want you to use my function display this, right? Then I'll pass in the file. So this, right, this is going to give us it takes two arguments. Remember that when we define our function above, it was taking this argument. It was taking a report HTML, which was this file, this particular file, right? It's an HTML file, which is the same file that you can see from here, right? It takes this particular file, and then it's actually HTML. So that is what it's taking. Then it's going to take a height and a width, right? A width and a height. So I'll use the same function to render it. So I'm using codec to open my HTML file. Then I'm going to render it, open it with codec, read it as HTML file, then use the component.html to render it, right? To show it inside my Streamlit app. So it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be my app, just sweet. This report. So let's check the spelling. Sweetviz report, right? .html. That is all, right? So let's save it and then let's check it out. In case you want to change the name from Sweetviz report, you can actually change it by supplying the name here, by putting the name inside this particular stuff, right? So your custom name .html. In case you don't want this particular name, right? You can also do that. So let's come back here. Let's check it out. So let's click on this button and let me expand this one. So let me take myself off. Voila. Wow, see that now? That's generated our plot perfectly for us. Right, the same plot that we saw here has been generated for us here inside our Streamlit. Right, very cool and very nice. Right, everything is working as expected. So I can actually expand the length. Right, I can actually expand it. I can actually scroll it up and down as I wish. Right, it is very, very cool, very, very nice. We can actually make our function better. That in case the person passing this option, we can actually generate it, right? So instead of just passing the file, we can bring this one here, two of them, these two functions, the normal workflow. Oh, let me make it like this. Today I'm slow a little, apologies. So I'll copy this one here, then I'll paste it, right? So this is going to be the normal workflow. So we're going to go with this and then this. So then it's going to work perfectly for us, right? So that is how to work with it. So that is how to work with Streamlit Component. So the basic idea is that you just have to import Streamlit as ST, right? Then you just do whatever you want to do. Then in case you also want to work with component, there are two formats. We have the Streamlit Components for static component and then for bi-directional. So today's tutorial we just saw how to work with static component. Just go with import streamlit.component.v1 as component, then you can do whatever you want to do. Then we saw how to work with pandas profile, how to insert pandas profile within it. Then we saw how to create our own custom function that is relying on Components.html, right, to help us with that. So that is something very simple. Now let's go back to the about page. So the about, we can actually work with the next one, which is Components.iframe. So with the iframe, I can actually insert in an iframe there. So https://google.com, right? It takes in a URL. So if I go back and I check it back, so let's go back here, sidebar, then let's go back to the about. Then I was going to actually put in Google page there for us. It's going to analyze it. Since I don't have internet, Google is refusing to connect. Yeah, because Google is protected against iframes. But if I use a different website, it's still going to work. So let's use a different website like JCharisTech, right? Or any other website. So you're going to see our website embedded here, right? So it's going to analyze it, voila, right? So you can actually expand it, can allow scrolling there, right? That is all out of the box, right? Can actually allow scrolling, all of these things. That's something very cool with that. So let's change this one and do something useful with this. So this is how to work with the iframe. So let's add a footer, right? A custom footer to it with our designs and all of these things. So I'll just copy the footer above, then you insert it there. So it's going to be this. Let's go back to the top of our file. I'm going to put our custom footer HTML. And I'll put in HTML footer with JavaScript there. So this, perfect, right? So this is something very simple. So let's make it like this. Let's go here. Right, so there's custom. So it's having simple CSS, right? Very simple CSS, CDN, and then a simple HTML footer that I've designed, which I've been using over again with some links there. Then we are just going to render it there. So you can just go back to the same way. So component.html, and I pass in my footer template, right? If I go back and I check it, it's going to analyze it, and voila, we have it here, right? We have it working perfectly. I can actually expand it, make it bigger. So it's going to be the height. You can give it any height that you want it to be. So let's put a height of 500, right? So if I go with height of 500, and then let's check it back again. Right, perfect. Everything is working as expected. So that is how to work with Streamlit component, right? With time, you'll be working on a bi-directional component, but that is how to work with. So to recap, it is very, very simple, very, very cool. All you need is to import it and then use it in the particular format, component.html or component.iframe. Then you can also create your own custom function and then use it like that, right? So that is a basic idea. So thank you for watching this long tutorial. In case you have any question or contribution, you can just put inside the comment section below, and please don't forget to subscribe and share. Stay blessed. So that's the basic idea. So we have static components. We have seen how to work with component.html, component.iframe, and then bi-directional. We will see that one later in the future. That is a very nice work they have done. Kudos to the Streamlit team. So thank you for watching. See you another time. Bye.